the table that I listed on your homework. So the first thing I want to do is, well, turn on my calculator first, and then I want to just go ahead and clear the memory. I always like to just start with clear memory when I'm doing something like this. So there you go, have your memory cleared out. And then to enter a box and whisker plot, scatter plot. Scatter plots are statistics. So what would make the most sense is using this button right here, which is the stat button for statistics. In there, we want to edit because we want to edit some lists. And in one of the lists, I'm going to put all of my independent variables, which graphing that on an XY axis would always be the X. So independent variables are things like age or time, because you can't stop them. They don't depend on something else happening. You can't stop someone from getting older, and well, at least by keeping them alive. So anyway, so putting in our X list, we have 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 and 15. And to put in our Y list, we just arrow over to L2 and 57, 60, 62, 63, 66.5, and 68. All right, so now that we have our two lists in, we want to go ahead and go back to the stat menu, and now we want to arrow over to calc, and we want to do what's called a linear regression, because we want to do what we want to do is a line of best fit. So we can go down to the fourth option where it says linreg ax plus b, and we want to enter some parameters to tell our calculator exactly what we want. Now we put our X list in list 1 or L1, so we want to select that by pressing our second key and the number 1 to hit L1. We have to push a comma, then we want L2, so that's second and the number 2. Now, doing it like this, I do want to show you one little trick. You could press enter right now. I'll show you. If you press enter, you get all of this information. It tells you that it's of the form y equals ax plus b, and it also gives you the value of a and the value of b. But we can actually do a little bit better with our graphing calculator. What we can do is do this again. So we just go back into the stat menu, go over to calc and select number 4, type in L1, a comma, and L2. And the other thing we can actually do is put another comma in, and we can tell it where to graph that. So instead of typing that into y equals ourselves, we're going to hit the vars button and arrow over to yvars, and it's a function that we're trying to graph, so we're going to press enter, and we can just graph it on y1. So press enter again, and now when we press enter, it looks exactly the same, where it says y equals ax plus b. It tells us the value of a and b, but when you go to y equals, check this out, it's already in there for you, which is, I think, very cool. So we don't actually have to look at the scatter plot, but it might make sense in case you try to write it in yourself and might have rounded off. So what we want to do is press second and stat, because again this is a statistics plot. Press enter on plot 1 because we want to just turn the plots on. Make sure it's a scatter plot, which it's selected to by default, and make sure that it's using the right lists for X and Y. So X lists we're using L1, Y lists we're using L2, so we're good to go. So now hit graph, and we should be able to see everything, except we're not. It's because we're not zoomed in on the right part of the graph. So if you hit zoom, and you don't want to hit zoom out because it might be a pain in the butt to find exactly where all that data is. I mean, you can go by the table and do a whole bunch, but why bother? Let's just scroll down to what makes the most sense, which is our zoom stat option. It zooms in on any statistical information we put in the calculator. So press enter and you'll see all of your points and the line of best fit. And it is a pretty good line of best fit. All right, So the next thing we can do is use that information to either predict or to make estimates about past data. So if I wanted to say, guess about what height this person would have been when they were, say, 7 years old, then what I might want to do is press, well, I want to change some settings on my table. So let's go to second and window, which is the table settings, and I want to change it to change my independent, which is my X, or in this case, which represents my age, to ask, and then let's go back to the table. Notice there's nothing there, except in one column it says X and the other column it says Y1. We're going to type in an X and get a Y1. So let's see. Let's figure how old this person, or how tall this person was, how many inches tall they were when they were 7 years old. We can type in 7, press enter, and we can guess that at 7 years old this person was about 50 inches if they were growing at a constant rate. So 50 inches. If we wanted to guess how tall they're going to be when they're 17, again, type in 17 because it's a year, or it's a year in terms of his age. And at that point, it's estimating that he would be, or she, this is a very, very tall lady, would be 72 inches tall. And of course, people stop growing, so some of this, you can only take data like this so far. I mean, if we wanted to say how tall would this person be at the age 35, we're saying that they would be 111 inches tall, and I would hope that they're not that tall. That's not comfortable. So this is how to make a scatter plot. You super, super, super need to know how to do this, particularly for the SOL, but otherwise, I mean, it's just kind of going to make your life easier if you can find a linear regression, or find the line of best fit using a linear regression for a scatter plot. I apologize for being so marble-mouthed. And good luck.